You doing this to me is the worst feeling ever. July 5th, 2012, 11 p.m. 16-year-old Skylar Neese tweets those words. Her best friends, Shoaf and Shelia Eddy, had been ignoring her all day. She's hurt, confused, feeling left out. She has no idea that in less than 12 hours, those same best friends would drive her to a remote area, count to 3, and stab her to death 50 times. Welcome to the evidence room. Tonight, we're investigating one of the most shocking betrayals in true crime history. A case where the killers weren't strangers, weren't enemies. They were best friends. The three of them were inseparable. They called themselves the Three Musketeers. They had sleepovers, inside jokes, friendship bracelets. And then, 2 of them decided the third one had to die. This is the murder of Skylar Neese, and the reason why will haunt you. July 6th, 2012, 6:30 a.m. Mary and Dave Neese wake up in their apartment in Star City, West Virginia. They go to check on their daughter, Skylar. Her bedroom door is closed. They assume she's sleeping in. But when Mary opens the door at 8 a.m., the room is empty. Skylar's bed hasn't been slept in. A window is open. The screen is propped against the wall. Mary calls Skylar's cell phone. No answer. She calls again, straight to voicemail. She texts Skylar's best friends, Shoaf and Shelia Eddy. Have you seen Skylar? Both girls respond immediately. No, we haven't seen her since last night. Dave Neese calls the police, but here's the problem. Skylar is 16. There's no sign of forced entry. Her window screen is leaned carefully against the wall, suggesting she removed it herself. To police, this looks like a teenage runaway, a girl who snuck out to party and hasn't come home yet. But Mary Neese knows her daughter. Skylar wouldn't just leave. She had work the next day. She had plans. She was responsible. Something is wrong. The police began checking Skylar's phone records. Her last text was sent at 12:30 a.m., just 90 minutes after that heartbreaking tweet. It was to Shelia Eddy, "I'm coming out now." Surveillance footage from the apartment complex shows Skylar leaving through a side door at 12:31 a.m. She gets into the back seat of a car. The car belongs to Shelia Eddy. Police interview Shelia and Rachel. Both girls tell the same story. "Yes, we picked Skylar up. We drove around for a while, smoked weed. Then we dropped her off at the end of her street around 11 p.m. We don't know where she went after that." But there's a problem with their story. Skylar's apartment has security cameras, and those cameras show Shelia's car leaving at 12:31 a.m. with Skylar inside. The car doesn't return until 1:30 a.m. Where were they for an hour? And more importantly, where is Skylar? To understand what happened to Skylar Neese, you have to understand her friendship with Shoaf and Shelia Eddy. They met in high school in Morgantown, West Virginia, University High School. Skylar was smart, funny, ambitious. She wanted to study marine biology. She loved science. She worked part-time at Wendy's, saving money for college. Shoaf was quiet, religious, struggling with her sexuality. She came from a strict Catholic family. She and Skylar had been friends since elementary school. Shelia Eddy was charismatic, manipulative, and according to people who knew her, dangerous. She had a temper. She was possessive of her friendships. If you crossed her, you were out. The 3 girls called themselves inseparable, best friends forever. They posted photos on social media constantly, smiling, arms around each other, captions like "Love these girls" and "My ride or dies." But behind the Instagram posts, the friendship was toxic. Shelia was jealous of Skylar and Rachel's closeness. Skylar knew secrets about Shelia, things Shelia didn't want getting out. And Rachel was caught in the middle. terrified of losing Shelia's approval. In the months before Skylar's disappearance, the group dynamic was fracturing. Arguments, subtweets, awkward silences. And then Shelia Eddy came up with a plan. She convinced Rachel, we have to kill Skylar. Why? According to Rachel's later confession, Shelia told her, we don't want to be friends with her anymore. That's it. No deep motive, no revenge plot, no dark secret that had to be protected. Shelia Eddy wanted to kill Skylar Neese because she didn't want to be her friend anymore. And Rachel, desperate for Shelia's approval, terrified of being the next target, said yes. They planned it for weeks. They lure Skylar out, drive to a remote area, and stab her to death. They bought cleaning supplies, discussed where to hide the body, practiced their alibis. On July 6, 2012, at 12:30 a.m., they texted Skylar, come out, we're here. Skylar snuck out her window, climbed into the back seat of Shelia's car, and smiled at her best friends. She had no idea she had less than 30 minutes to live. They drove to a secluded area in Pennsylvania, just across the West Virginia border. A dirt road, woods, no houses, no witnesses. They parked, got out, started walking into the trees, and then, on Shelia's signal, they counted to 3, and they stabbed her over and over and over, 50 times. Skylar tried to run. She screamed, she begged, she asked them why. Shelia and Rachel didn't answer, they just kept stabbing. When it was over, they covered her body with branches and leaves, they drove home, they cleaned blood out of the car, they threw their bloody clothes in a dumpster, and the next morning, when Skylar's mother called asking if they'd seen her, they lied. For 6 months, Skylar Neese's case went cold. Police searched. Her father, Dave Neese, spent every free moment driving through West Virginia and Pennsylvania looking for any sign of his daughter. He posted flyers, organized search parties, begged the public for information. And the whole time, Shelia Eddy and Rachel Shoaf played the role of grieving best friends. They attended candlelight vigils. They posted tributes on social media. We miss you, Skylar. Please come home. We love you so much. Shelia even got a tattoo, Rest in Peace, Skylar, with the date she disappeared. But investigators weren't buying it. The FBI got involved. They analyzed the girl's phone records, social media posts, and alibis. And the more they looked, the more the story didn't add up. Why did Shelia and Rachel's stories keep changing? First, they said they dropped Skylar off at 11 p.m., then midnight, then 12:45 a.m. Why were there inconsistencies in their timeline? And why, if they were truly Skylar's best friends, did they seem so calm? The breakthrough came in December 2012. Rachel Shoaf had a mental breakdown. She'd been carrying the guilt for 6 months. She couldn't sleep. She was having panic attacks. She told her parents she needed to talk to a lawyer. On December 28, 2012, Rachel Shoaf walked into the police station with her attorney, and she confessed everything. She told investigators where the body was. She described the murder in graphic detail. She explained Shelia's plan. She admitted her role. But when they asked her why would you kill your best friend, Rachel gave the answer that would shock the nation. We just didn't want to be friends with her anymore. That was it. No elaborate motive, no dark secret, no self-defense claim. They killed Skylar Neese because they didn't like her anymore. Police recovered Skylar's remains in January 2013, exactly where Rachel said they would be, hidden under branches in a Pennsylvania forest just 30 minutes from her home. Shelia Eddy was arrested on May 1, 2013. When police told her they'd found Skylar's body and Rachel had confessed, Shelia's response was chilling. I know. Not, oh my God, is it really her? Just, I know. Both girls were charged with first-degree murder. Rachel Shoaf pleaded guilty and received 30 years in prison. With good behavior, she becomes eligible for parole in June 2026, this year. Shelia Eddy refused to plead guilty. She went to trial, was convicted, and received life in prison with eligibility for parole after 15 years. Dave Neese, Skylar's father, told reporters they were the last people on earth we thought would hurt her. They were her best friends. We trusted them with her life, and they took it. The trial revealed horrifying details about the murder and the girls who committed it. Text messages between Shelia and Rachel showed they'd been planning Skylar's murder for at least a month. They discussed methods, researched how to clean blood from a car, talked about where to hide the body. The day before the murder, Shelia tweeted, "We really did go on 3. It was hidden in plain sight, the signal, the countdown before they started stabbing." And after the murder, both girls continued posting on social media as if nothing had happened. Shelia posted a photo of herself smiling with the caption, "Life goes on." Rachel posted Bible verses. During the trial, psychologists testified about the girls' mental states. Rachel Shoaf was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. She'd been manipulated by Shelia, experts said, but she was still culpable. She knew what she was doing was wrong. Shelia Eddy, on the other hand, showed no remorse, no guilt. Psychologists described her as having antisocial personality disorder, a clinical term for someone with no empathy, no conscience. When asked if she felt bad about what she'd done, Shelia reportedly shrugged and said, "Not really." Dave Neese attended every day at a trial. He sat in the front row, staring at the girls who'd murdered his daughter. He wanted them to see him, to remember Skylar, to face what they'd taken from him. In his victim impact statement, Dave said, "Skylar had dreams. She wanted to study marine biology. She wanted to travel. She wanted to fall in love, get married, have children. You took all of that from her. You took my daughter. You took my future grandchildren. You destroyed our family. And for what? Because you didn't want to be friends anymore?" The case led to legislative change. West Virginia passed Skylar's Law in 2013, requiring police to issue Amber Alerts for missing teenagers, even if there's no evidence of abduction. Before Skylar's case, Amber Alerts were only issued for children under 12 or cases with confirmed abduction. Skylar's Law has since helped find dozens of missing teens across the country. Rachel Shoaf is currently incarcerated at Lakin Correctional Center in West Virginia. She's completed her high school equivalency. She's participated in therapy. And in June 2026, just 3 months from now, she becomes eligible for parole. Dave Neese has said he will fight her parole with everything he has. Shelia Eddy is at the same facility. She won't be eligible for parole until 2028. According to reports, she's shown no remorse, no change. She still maintains she's not sorry. When asked in a prison interview why she did it, Shelia said she had it coming. Skylar Neese was 16 years old. She trusted her best friends. She got in that car thinking they were going on an adventure. Instead, she was driven to her own murder, and the reason why was nothing.
The murder of Skylar Neese shocked the nation, not just because of his brutality, but because of how preventable it seemed. Were there warning signs? Could anyone have known? Looking back, the answer is yes. Skylar's Twitter account told a story. In the weeks before her murder, she was tweeting about feeling left out, about fake friends, about people who pretend to care but don't. "Sick of being at home thanks to those two," she tweeted on June 4th, 2012. "You doing this to me is the worst feeling ever," on July 5th, her last tweet. She knew something was wrong. She just didn't know how wrong. Psychologists who studied the case point to several red flags. Shelia Eddy's possessive behavior over friendships, her history of manipulation, her lack of empathy when conflicts arose, Rachel Shoaf's desperation for approval, her fear of being excluded, her willingness to go along with anything to stay in Shelia's good graces, and Skylar's isolation within the trio. The dynamic had shifted from 3 friends to 2 against 1. Experts say this case is a stark reminder. Friendship violence is real. Not all dangerous people are strangers. Sometimes the person most likely to hurt you is the one you trust the most. If you're a teenager watching this, if your friends make you feel small, excluded, or afraid, they're not your friends. Real friends don't play mind games. They don't isolate you. They don't make you feel worthless. And if your friends are pressuring you to do something you know is wrong, even if it's not murder, even if it's something smaller, you have the power to say no. You have the power to walk away. Rachel Shoaf didn't walk away. She followed Shelia's lead, and now she'll spend decades in prison, haunted by what she did. For parents, talk to your kids, know their friends, watch for changes in behavior. Social media can hide a lot, but it can also reveal warning signs if you're paying attention. Skylar's father, Dave, has dedicated his life to keeping Skylar's memory alive and advocating for missing children. He speaks at schools. He works with law enforcement. He's turned his unimaginable grief into purpose. In his words, Skylar was funny. She was smart. She was kind. She had a bright future ahead of her. I want people to remember her for who she was, not just how she died. She was my daughter. She was loved, and she deserved so much better than what those girls did to her. This is the evidence room. We believe Skylar Neese's name should be remembered, her story should be told, and her legacy should be worn in the next generation. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join us next week as we continue seeking justice for those who can't speak for themselves. Until then, the evidence room stays open. Rest in peace, Skylar Ann Neese. You deserved better friends. You deserved the future. You mattered.